What's going on YouTube? So when Honda unveils a new product, normally they keep it completely unchanged for a few years. But Honda has surprised us for 2025 with the Accord by giving us a new trim level, the SE, as well as adding more standard features that people have been requesting. So what's all the new stuff? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, let's start things off under the hood. Continuing on are your two different powertrain selections, including the hybrid, which is standard on most trim levels. This is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors making 204 total system horsepower. It's going to be paired to the front wheels with an eCVT-like transmission, and our combined fuel economy comes in at 44 for this sport trim.
Now, of course, we can't wait to take it out for a drive. While we're on that drive, we'll be getting things like our sound level reading, as well as discussing resale and reliability after that.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior as well as the inside. Now, when I first walked up to this Accord, I thought it was a 2029 model, but it is indeed the 2025 model. And up in the front, nothing is changing in terms of the design for 2025. You'll keep that signature Accord fascia with the kind of gloss black finish here with the sport trim level. And then over here at your headlights, you will also keep standard full LED lights. As you can see, this is our crystal design, the reflector LEDs with our turn signal indicator and daytime running light up top. Fog lights are not offered since this switched to the new generation. And then moving around back, of course, you will also find some sporty elements for the sport trim level as well.
Yeah, so what are some of those elements? Well, you have a black deck lid spoiler, which kind of spices up your overall look. But let's talk about our taillights, because that's something that you're going to find on every single Accord. As you can see, we do have a really nice premium full LED taillight cluster. So we have an LED brake light portion, LED amber turn signal indicator, as well as an LED reverse light. That's actually quite rare in the mid-size segment to have that as standard on every single model. So I'm definitely happy to see that. As we drop down to the lower fascia, this is going to have a nice sporty look to it. However, you will notice that we don't have any exposed exhaust outlets. That's something that has kind of gone away for this new generation.
And down here at the wheels, let's go ahead and talk about the new trim level for 2025. That is the SE trim level. This replaces the previous EX model, and what it does is essentially add some kind of sporty looking elements from the sport trim level, but combine it with a price and equipment that's more similar to the LX trim level. Now, I'm talking about that at the wheels because one of the things that you get is a 17-inch alloy, but it has an exclusive black finish, again, to make it look more sporty. Now, if you want 19-inch alloys, you can continue to get those on both the Sport, Sport L, and Touring trim levels. I definitely like the way these look overall. Up top here, we've got a gloss black finish for our mirrors. And the new SE trim level is also the trim level that begins to give you standard blind spot monitoring.
Now, at the side of the Accord, we have an overall vehicle length of about 196 inches, which is quite large for a mid-size sedan. And as far as your safety systems are concerned, one of the great things about the Accord is that you're going to get all of those as standard equipment. That even will include things like adaptive cruise control. The only caveat to that is that the Touring will add front and rear low-speed automatic braking. But let's go ahead and get into the inside, where there's a big 2025 change for this sport trim level. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now let's get on to the interior. First, we'll take a look at the key fob. Typical Honda key fob. Smart entry and remote start are included actually on all trim levels. And then to get inside, just grab behind the handle and that will unlock the door. Now, taking a look at the interior. No major design changes for 2025. And before we get into what's new, let's talk about those seats. So you are going to get cloth seating on your LX through your Sport trim levels. So obviously that includes the trim that we have today, the Sport. It also includes that new SE trim level. And as you can see, kind of got a nice design to this with several different finishes of cloth, kind of a gray in the center, and then you've got some striping and stitching details throughout. All but the base LX will also come with the 10-way power adjusting seat and 2-way lumbar support. But let's go ahead and climb inside. And let's look at the rest of the cabin materials now that we're inside here. So over here on our armrest, we have a leatherette with a stitching detail. You have a leatherette covering all through the center section, and then a soft touch plastic along the top. Moving to the upper dash, this is also finished in a soft touch plastic, more of the leatherette through the center section. You have that signature single vent effect that all the Hondas have had recently, finished in a piano black trim. And then down here along our console, this will be hard touch on your lower trims. You get a padding on your top models. Well, let's go ahead and fire it up with the standard push button start. And let's move into some individual details, beginning with the gauge cluster. As you can see, we've got the full digital cluster. It's about 10 inches, and this is actually included as a standard feature across the lineup. You should also note that you can get a head-up display, but you'll have to choose the top Touring trim level. Now coming back to the steering wheel, we have the leather-wrapped steering wheel. This begins on the Sport trim level. It is, of course, manual tilt and telescoping, but heating is not available no matter which trim you choose. All right, and let's get into interior storage. This has always been one of the really strong areas of the Accord, and looking inside, you will see that we've got a lot of donuts. That's because at Car Confections, we put donuts in the center console to show the volume. And in this case, we can fit 15 donuts. That is crazy big, especially for a sedan. Then in front of that, you've got your two kind of squared off shaped cup holders there. You also have a large pad here, which does have a wireless phone charging pad built into it. And that is on the Sport trim level and above now. Taking a look at our shifter, nice traditional style, just pull back for drive. You do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel as well. And then going above, we see our backup camera. This is a traditional backup camera with active trajectory. You have a couple different views you can choose from as well, and your top trims come with parking sensors. Just be aware that a 360 camera is not an available option at all. And then back behind that, you have your electronic parking brake with brake hold. Now continuing up the dashboard, the next place we come to are our climate controls. We have a dual zone automatic climate setup on the SE trim level and above. So all but that very base model gets this very nice, high quality feeling dual zone climate system. But it's what's next to the climate that I really want to talk about. We have heated seats now standard on the Sport trim level. Actually, not just the Sport trim level, it goes down to the SE trim level. All but the base model now come with heated seats. I know a lot of people were really looking for that in their Sport Accord, and now Honda is giving you those heated seats on board. Now you can also get ventilated seats with the Touring trim level as well. And then let's go on up here to our audio control and take a listen to the standard 8-speaker sound system on most of the mid-level trims. Overall sound quality is quite nice, really fills up the cabin very well and has pretty good bass. If you want something a little bit better though, you can get a Bose sound system by choosing the Touring trim level. Alright, and let's dig into our main infotainment system now. So this is a real highlight of this product because we have a 12.3-inch display on board, and it is actually standard equipment on all the trim levels. Now, as you can see, quite large. We do have the Honda Link software, and it is good performance. Wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are also included. If you choose the top trim level, though, you get an additional perk, and that's the fact that we have Google Apps built into the system. So that gives you native, Google Maps, I think, is going to be the big thing, but you also have Google Assistant, which gives you some additional voice functions. Up top here, this trim comes with the manual dimming mirror. Obviously, you can get an auto dimming one as well. And then I'll go ahead and open up our sunroof. Honda actually includes this on all but the base LX trim level for 2025. Just be aware that you cannot get a panoramic sunroof still.
Now let's talk about the rear seats for the Accord, because there is actually a couple new things this year. Now, I want to talk about space first, though. So we're sitting at about 41 inches of legroom, 37 inches of headroom. So really, really good space figures. The Accord is, I believe it's the biggest midsize sedan that you can buy, and you can really see that back here. I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and look at how much additional knee room we have. Very few vehicles have about 10 inches or more of knee room, so that's really impressive. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat, and these seats I do find to be quite comfortable. As far as other features, we do have a fold-down center armrest with 2 cup holders inside. And then here in the center, this is where we start to see some new things for 2025. You're going to get standard vents on every single Accord this year. Additionally, you're going to get standard USB-C ports on every Accord for 2025. That's nice features that kind of elevate the overall rear experience. Also, if you choose the Touring trim level, you can get heated rear seats. Now, if you look over at the door trim, it's going to be mostly hard touch. So hard touch on all the upper part and in the middle section. However, we do have a pad for our armrest, and you're noticing that we have quite a bit of bottle storage. It's actually big enough to fit a Stanley water bottle. Walking up to the trunk, we have a button integrated under the lid to open it up. And once again, the same thing is going to take place here in the cargo area. 16.7 cubic feet of cargo capacity, which is larger than most of the main rivals, including the Toyota Camry. So just like the rear seats, this thing is absolutely massive when it comes to cargo capacity for a midsize sedan. As far as cargo length, width, and height figures, that's something we get in all of our Car Confections reviews. I'm going to try and keep it relatively level here. We're looking at about 44 inches of overall cargo length. Cargo width at the opening is about 35 inches, and then cargo height comes in about 22 inches tall. Now, underneath of the floor, you will not find a spare tire, so keep that in mind. There's a little bit of extra space, though, and then the seats do fold 60-40 split. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the Honda Accord Sport. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first of all, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alright, and that was an acceleration to 60 going up a fairly steep grade. Now, as we discussed at the spec dump, the Accord continues to be available with 2 powertrains. You've got the traditional gas option, but most of the models will continue with the hybrid system. This is Honda's signature 2-motor hybrid system, which combines a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with their two electric motors, of course, for a combined 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
When you're driving this, honestly, it feels quite quick. I think it's a notable step up from that standard gas option for sure. And overall, that electric torque really gets you off the line nicely.
Yeah, 247 pound-feet of torque is a lot for this segment. Now, if you do choose for the LX or that new SE trim level, those will have the more standard engine setup. That's going to be a 1.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder, making 192 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque. So that one's not going to be weak by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely is not going to be quite as quick as the hybrid setup. But it is nice that they are giving you that option, because we just drove by the Toyota dealership, and this vehicle's main competition, the Toyota Camry, is now hybrid exclusive. So if you're one of those people that don't want any form of hybridization, this is really going to be your only choice right now, is to get one of the more base trims of the Accord.
Yeah, there's a rolling acceleration. Like I said, not bad at all. Let's talk about the other element of the powertrain, that's our transmission. In this hybrid model, the transmission performs like an eCVT. You do have shift simulations on board. If you go for the traditional gas option, that just gets you a standard CVT.
Now, one thing I do want to point out while we're on the subject of how power is routed to the ground is that this is routed to the ground via only the front wheels. So that's something I really would have liked to have seen Honda add for this new generation, is the availability of all-wheel drive. That's, of course, something you can get on a lot of the rivals, including the Camry, of course.
And the CRV as well.
Yeah, Camry and CRV can get it. So it's just one of those things I wish Honda had maybe added, because people do look for that in this segment. But that does mean that you get pretty good fuel economy regardless of which engine you select. So the Sport model, as tested today, we're coming in at 44 miles per gallon combined. The LX and the SE trim level with its more basic powertrain setup, that is going to get worse fuel economy at 32, but it's not bad at all. So keep that in mind.
I have to say the handoff in power between the gas engine and the electric powertrain is absolutely seamless. It is fantastic. I think someone has finally beat Toyota in this department. We would know because we actually do have a 2025 Toyota Camry Hybrid as a long-term test vehicle, and I have to say I think it's even just a little bit smoother, and it's definitely quieter overall in that transition. Now, going around that corner there, though, reminds me I also need to talk about the dynamics. So Honda always, emphasizes driving dynamics a little bit more than most of the competition, and the Accord is really no exception to that. You have a really nice and balanced feel, not much body roll at all. Also, the steering, they do a really great job with the steering. It's got a little bit of heft to it. It's still plenty light, don't you worry, but it does have just this little bit of heft and a nice response to it when you go off center.
All right, but we're just kind of cruising along on the highway, and I want to take a second to discuss ride quality. Now, we are in the volume-selling sport trim level of the Accord, which I'm actually quite happy we're in this more affordable version, because that's what most people will end up buying. And the ride quality I've been nothing but impressed with during the time that we're filming this. I find the seats to be really comfortable. And even though we have large, stylish wheels on the outside, Honda has done a fantastic job of tuning the suspension to really give you excellent ride quality, but while not really sacrificing too much on the dynamic side, as Drew was mentioning earlier, I have no complaints whatsoever when it comes to that department. And as we speed up to 55 miles per hour, we'll go ahead and get our sound level reading as well, so we can see how quiet this cabin is. Okay, we have it on fan speed 1. 58.1 decibels is what we have settled in at as our sound level reading in the 25 Accord Sport. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the rivals. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website, we've posted all of the vehicles this competes with, including that new Camry. Now, as far as how that does compare, that does mean that it will be louder than that all-new Camry, so keep that in mind. Typically, we do actually see that Hondas are a little bit louder than some of the competition when it comes to overall cabin noise, but keep in mind as well that the trim level does make a difference. So if you were to maybe go for a fully loaded touring model, you might be getting a little bit of a quieter cabin experience than what you'd find here on the Sport model, but overall, it's not a bad sound level reading. And now it's time for us to get into our car confections, slam dunk, and airball. Our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, what's our favorite element about the 25 Accord?
So we're going to say that it's the updates they made this year. They're nice upgrades, so you get some more standard features that actually do impact specifically the sport trim,
Heated
which is
seats,
the best seller. They also give you that new SE trim level, which gives you kind of a combination of really like the sporty design but the more affordable price tag.
Yeah, definitely a big improvement, and really Honda's not one as a brand to make model year changes, so I'm definitely happy to see that they're making some of those changes that we've been requesting. Now, as far as the airball side of things, what we're going to say is that compared to some of the competition, this Accord is still just missing some of those features that people are demanding. All-wheel drive is a big one, and there's a few other features like a panoramic moonroof that still remains unavailable on this vehicle, so we definitely like for Honda to add those features maybe at an upcoming refresh. Lastly, as far as your warranty is concerned, you have a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60 powertrain warranty, and Honda is including 1 year of complimentary maintenance. Be aware that it was reduced from the 2024 model year of 2 years. Now let's discuss pricing for the Accord. Now for 2025, we do see a little bit of a price increase. That's pretty typical for most model year vehicle changes. We start at $28,295 for the LX model. That new SE trim level, $30,560 is our base price. So that's certainly a pretty attractive price point. Now, this particular model, the Sport, this is the most popular trim level, starts at $33,655. We have optional paint. We also have the destination charge of $1,095. All told, $35,205 as tested. If you're looking to buy a Honda Accord or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. So first up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Honda Accord's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'd be worth 64.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 34.3%. Now, it's worth noting that actually represents the number one brand out of all vehicle makes for resale value in the 5-year metric, so that's certainly very impressive.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies about reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Honda is rated well above the industry average as one of the best brands for overall reliability.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability and resale data, as well as our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2025 Honda Accord Sport. If you enjoyed seeing the 2025 changes to this Accord or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.